Hello from my heart. My name is William Marshall. Welcome to the first of many shows designed to help assist you in becoming a well-body pro. I'm here today with Gary Schneller, founder of Hello from my heart and author of the award-winning book, How to Have a Nice Day. How are you, Gary?
Wonderful, William. Nice
Great
to see you.
Great
Thanks
to see you. Thank you for coming. Now, Hello from my heart has been having a huge event this past week or so, and I wanted to ask Gary if he could share with us what exactly Hello from my heart is. So could you tell everybody a little bit
certainly.
about it?
But I'm going to turn the tables on you for just a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, what does our world need now?
Oh, well, I think the world definitely needs a lot more love, a lot more compassion.
No, certainly. We've been singing about it for as long as any of us can remember, haven't we?
Indeed.
Okay? And that's exactly what Hello from my heart means. It is an expression of love. And face it, there's nothing more powerful. And the results, which hopefully we'll get into a little bit later, will demonstrate that.
So is it just the words, Hello from my heart?
Well, these are what we call Hello from my heart days. They run from September 11th through September 21st, and we take that period as a period of measurement.
Okay. What exactly are you measuring?
Well, we measure violent crime when available. We also measure absenteeism due to sickness. And the net result is the fulfillment of our mission statement, which is to measurably create a happier, healthier, and more peaceful community. And of course, today our community is what? The world.
The world, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And we're just a little part of it right here. So as far as the, I guess, results that you've had so far, what kind of feedback have you gotten? I heard you talking before that you've worked with different sheriff's departments in different cities that you've worked in.
Absolutely. We premiered this in Tampa Bay, which is where I currently live. And by the way, it's a whole lot warmer there. I saw the weather report today, 87 degrees.
Yeah.
This morning with chill factor,
In the 50s
we were in the 30s.
this morning. Oh, wow, yeah. September, and it was in the 50s, feeling like the 30s. Something's not right there.
Indeed. In Tampa Bay, in the first year that we premiered this, we reached over 750,000 people within the 8 counties of Tampa Bay.
Wow.
And violent crime was down by 22% over all 8 counties.
And
The second year, it was down by 33%, showing that the appetite for what? The appetite for love is certainly there.
Absolutely.
In addition to being needed, it certainly is very, very important. There's a little anecdotal story, and as you know, I've spoken with audiences all over the world, but one of my favorites is the college audience. And I'll never forget, at the end of my talk, I always open it up for questions and answers. And this one fellow says, "What do I have to say hello from my heart for?" And I looked at him, I said, "Well, what would you like to say?" He said, "How about I love you?" I
Sounds
said,
good.
"Well, very well. There's a pretty young lady sitting right in back of you. Why don't you give her that greeting?"
I love you.
He does, and then I turned to the young lady and I said, "How do you feel?" She said, "I feel kind of yucky."
Interesting.
And so then I said to the young man, I said, "Now why don't you turn around and give her our greeting?" He does, and she beams.
Hello from my heart.
She beams with a smile and says, "That felt nice." Yes, we all know there are so many different definitions of love, but since love seems to come from our hearts, Hello from my heart is a pure expression of love. We actually had our first county anywhere in the world that totally eliminated violent crime. Do you know where it was?
No, where?
It was in Florida,
Okay.
and it was Sarasota County.
Sarasota. Wow, it's a big county too.
Now, wouldn't you think people would
No
like to
crime
live
in
there?
Sarasota. You bet. That put it on the top of my list. That'd be nice.
That's what we want to introduce to the city fathers everywhere.
Excellent.
Everywhere. Some of the other statistics, Cincinnati, Ohio. Not many people here in New York would be aware that Cincinnati is one of the 10 most violent cities in America. Well, you know what? Violent crime was down by 57% when we ran it there.
That's amazing.
A lot of other stories, but one that I'm particularly proud of was having the opportunity to run this in Baghdad.
Really?
Yeah, you're kind of surprised
when
with that.
When did this happen? When did you do that?
This happened 4 years ago. And it happened out of a...
Sort of biting off a big chunk of trouble, no?
Well, I'll tell you the rest of the story, as someone we all know used to say. Had an opportunity to create flyers.
Okay.
But an old friend of mine was assigned with the DOD as a civilian there. That's the Department of Defense. And he said, yes, he could distribute massive amounts of flyers, but they had to be in Arabic. So he thought that might be a challenge. Nah. When you're doing this kind of work, there are no challenges. It's just such a pleasure to do the work. Well, I found a person that I was introduced to in Tampa Bay, who it turns out is from Baghdad. And he, in fact, is rumored to be the next mayor of Baghdad once the insurgency is over, and which also means that his family is very well connected. So he produced the translation, we sent it to his family, sent it to my friend, and the State Department there announced our statistics, the biggest decline in violence since the insurgency began.
Wow,
a
that's terrific.
50% decline.
That's terrific, wow.
You know the amount of lives we
Congratulations, that's
saved?
amazing.
Yeah.
That's congratulations.
I love
Lord.
doing this work.
Awesome.
I love it. There are so many incredible stories. We've even had the opportunity to run this in a school system. And there, we found absenteeism due to sickness was down by 29%. These are big numbers.
So is this all part of the umbrella principle that I hear you talking about, or?
Well, it is the umbrella principle, but I don't want to get ahead of myself,
Okay.
just so I can finish this story. You know, there's lots of talk today about bullying and what to do about it. And,
Sure.
and the children are so upset, and that's what contributes to the absenteeism due to sickness. The children don't want to go to school because
Right.
they're afraid.
Makes
Well,
a lot of sense.
lo and behold, the disciplinary actions on the part of the school were down by 36% just by running Hello from My Heart.
Wow, so just saying hello from my heart and makes everybody feel good.
Absolutely.
The people that say it feel good giving it.
It
the people
relieves-
who receive it feel good hearing it. And hopefully everybody else who's hearing it around them kind of gets the idea.
In fact, we know that whether you give the greeting, you receive the greeting, or you witness the greeting, impact is made.
That's great.
It releases stress, and we all know that stress, and I know you'll be talking about this perhaps in some other show.
It'll be a major show topic, I'm sure, on many shows.
Yes, indeed. Well, if it relieves stress, it's relieving the cause of many illnesses.
That's awesome.
And you were starting to ask me about the umbrella principle.
Right.
Well, there's something that is the umbrella of everything I do, whether it be my book, the healing work that is described in it, or Hello from My Heart. And that is very simply that all events are always occurring for us, never to us. You know, most conditions start with fear. And you see me patting the top of my head. It's not because I like to pat my rather attractive bald head. But this is the crown chakra for the audience that I'm sure knows what I'm talking about, or the crown energy center, whichever phrase you like to use. And when that's closed, it indicates that fear is present. So for all of America, what I'd like to share with you, for all of New York City, for everyone that's watching, write that statement down. All events are always occurring for us, never to us.
Right.
Now, would you like to know some of the background as to why that is so prevalent or powerful?
I have a pretty good general idea, and I'm sure many of our viewers may have a general idea, but please explain it as clearly as possible for those that don't even understand the concept of a chakra or an energy center. So
I
maybe
understand.
you can sort of give everybody a brief energy synopsis.
I'll be as succinct as I can with this because it is very simple, and I find that clear thought is simple thought. All right. I'm assuming and or hoping that all of your audience believes in God. Okay. Now, what were you taught about God as a child? You were taught that God is everywhere. God is omnipresent. And you were also probably taught that God is love. So if we're constantly surrounded by all of this love, how can anything ever be happening to us?
Right.
So if we're looking at anything in our lives, any situation, any circumstance, and we use that phrase, it can cause us to ponder, how is this happening for me? What about this can I gain from? Can I learn from? And as a result, can I heal with?
Very good.
And I think that appeals to you too, as I know you are a student of healing.
Indeed. I love to help solve problems more than anything else. I think we all like a good mystery, and I notice when it comes to health, there's a lot of mysteries out there that have been unraveled by many great physicians and thinkers that have come before us, but a lot of those things have been lost, and a lot of them are coming back. So I look forward to more experience in the energy world through you. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about your book.
Well, thank you.
Award-winning book.
Yeah, my first
How
book, by
to
the
Have
way.
a Nice Day. Gary created, obviously, Hello from My Heart, and in so doing also created this amazing book. Very powerful, simple, and I'd love for you to
Well, first of all,
explain that as
the
well.
award that it won is the Chelson Award, which is the Inspirational Book of the Year Award from the First World Library.
Excellent.
Now, once again, this is my first book. And intuitively, I've been told that I have 3 books to write. Guess what the title of the second book's going to be?
What's that?
Hello from My Heart.
Oh, I thought it was going to be How to Have Another Nice Day.
And that's true. That is certainly true, isn't it? And the third title will actually be the phrase that will replace Hello from My Heart. As we learned, and we are students, and for those of you that have a computer, and I certainly hope that everyone does here today, or at least access to one, look up the website, hellofrommyheart.com. That's hellofrommyheart.com. And when you go there, of course, the welcome page is wonderful, but you're going to want to go to the event history page. That's where you'll see even more of the statistics that we were talking about. But you'll also want to go to the FAQ page, the frequently asked questions, because there we discuss the 5 disciplines that support why Hello from My Heart works. And those disciplines are psychology, sociology, the medical discipline, physics, and of course the spiritual discipline. But I touched upon the fact that there will be a phrase that will replace Hello from My Heart. Some of you might be saying, I just learned Hello from My Heart. And already believe me, this is a few years down the road. And I'm not going to release that now, as we're not jumping the gun. But that is discussed in the sociological perspective, as there's such a thing called phatic communication. For example, if I said, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, you're a very polite man, and you listen. But so many people respond with what? The shortened version. Morning. What happened to the good?
Right.
That's what we mean by phatic communication. Or, hi, how are you?
Okay. Good. So.
And do people really care to listen when they hear, hi, how are you? No, they don't. And that, again, is what we call phatic communication. So sooner or later, Hello from My Heart will drift into that realm.
Well, I personally have found using the shocking, elevated response, which is awesome, fabulous, super, awesome. So,
You know what my response is?
what's that?
I'm perfect, and so are you.
That's a wonderful one. I like that.
Because we are. Why? Because all events are always.
Happening for us.
You catch on. Very
I
good.
get it. Hope you guys get it too. Well, can we go a little bit more? I wanted to have a little opportunity to help familiarize people. This is one of my first shows. This is my first show. We're taping this sort of out of sequence. And I would like my viewers to understand from this very first show what the basic energy system of the chakras is, from someone who is very learned on the subject.
Well, thank you.
And so I know you're a Reiki master.
Yes, I am.
And you've been doing healing work for over
20 years.
And you're also a metaphysical minister, and
Yes.
you've been teaching this stuff. I would really appreciate it if you could, in the same beautiful, simplistic understandable
And it is very
vocabulary you use to
simple. It is that simple.
make it
William, when
more understandable.
there are 7 main energy centers in the body, and when they're all open, and by the way, those energy centers are represented by heat. You can feel it with your hand. I tend to like to use a pendulum. Why? Because it's visual. And you put someone in front of a mirror and you show that, hey, this energy center is closed or this one is open, and so on and so forth. They all mean something a little bit different. And when they're all open, all transmitting heat, guess what? There are no symptoms. I don't care what the disease is, what the diagnosis was, it's gone. So, to answer your question, the base of the spine is measured down here in the crotch. That energy center, when it's closed, means that the individual is flighty. Okay?
And that energy center is represented by the color red.
Yes, it is. Oh, very good.
Great.
The next one is the navel energy center, commonly represented by the belly button. Well, that energy center, if it's closed, means that you are not loving yourself. And you know what? A lot of cancers come from that one.
Interesting.
Okay? And a lot more too.
And that one, the color is orange.
And migraine headaches also come from that one.
Interesting.
Kind of, most people think migraine headache's going to have something to do with the brain. Forget that thinking.
Okay.
My experience, it comes from the navel.
Interesting.
The next one is the solar plexus. And the solar plexus means that there's either the presence of an infection or the presence of a spiritual attachment. They require 2 different types of treatment, but both can be easily done, and we can spend a whole show on spiritual attachments.
Right, I was about to say, can we expound upon what exactly a spiritual attachment is, just for people that might be wondering, are we talking about ghosts inside our body? Is that possible? And
I can see why some people would perhaps think that, yes. Very simply, I'll share a short story about a young man. He's in his late 20s. I think he was 27 or 28. And his life is going just grand.
Okay.
Kind of like yours.
life is wonderful. I love my life.
He's engaged to this most beautiful girl in town. He's getting promotions and raises on a regular basis. Life couldn't be more wonderful for him.
Sure.
Until one day, as he's walking out his front door, a car hits a tree in front of his house. The driver dies instantly. The young man is a witness to it. And inside of 30 days, this perfectly normal, happy, wonderful, A-track bound young man becomes a raging alcoholic. He goes to every doctor, every psychiatrist, emergency room, you name it, gets fired from his job, his girlfriend leaves him, his life turns to you know what. And until he meets someone like me, discovers that the driver of that car was indeed an alcoholic and was drunk at the time. You see, we all have a spirit, we all have a soul.
Sure.
Okay?
Of course.
We all have a bright light. It's called an aura. And what is the natural thing that the spirit does when it leaves the body? It's searching for what? The light.
The light, sure.
Well, sees this bright light attached to this beautiful young
We're all
man.
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attaches itself to it. The spirit's not doing anything wrong, but the young man begins to display some of the personality traits of the guest.
Interesting.
So the guest needs to be removed, which is a whole other process. And it's a very simple, loving process. It takes approximately an hour. And the young man returns to the person that he always was. And I can give you hundreds of stories to more or less support what I've just said.
Sounds like a very soft, esoteric exorcism.
Yeah, it is. Or, you know, the polite phrase today, so we don't upset anyone, believe me, there's no pea soup involved, it's a spiritual releasement.
Okay. Oh, that's
Okay,
good.
spiritual releasement ceremony. Or, as I said, the other is to determine that there's some sort of an infection in the body, which will respond very positively, normally, to Reiki treatment, which now every major hospital in America offers. Were you aware of that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. For the viewing audience, if you'd like to look that up, go to the website Advance4 the digit 4, nurses.com. That's advance4nurses.com. This is their weekly magazine.
This Hands of Light sort of.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
Right.
And you will see everything that they have written about it for years and years and years now that has brought it to the mainstream public, which once upon a time, if you were a Reiki master, you were considered a woo-woo. Well, we're not woo-woos anymore, are we?
No, we're not. And just to make it clear, I'm also a Reiki master, and it is really amazing working with energy. I hopefully look forward to sharing with many of you the incredible benefits that can be gained from just moving energy around and sharing energy with others. And there's ways for you to do it without having to be trained. There's ways to just sit down and just being thoughtful and think of other people in a kind and loving way really helps express that energy out of you and into them. So also, I just wanted to make one little note. We were talking about a soul and a body, and one of my favorite quotes is from C.S. Lewis, who said, "You don't have a soul. You are a soul.
Yes.
You have a body."
That's true.
So nice to meet you, fellow soul.
Excellent to see you too. You know, I always love sharing time with you.
Thank you very much for coming.
So we were talking about the energy center or the chakras. And what was the color of the solar plexus?
Yellow.
Which is another thing you can do if you're wearing that color. It will stimulate the vibration of any of the energy centers with the colors that William is talking about. And the next one, naturally, that we have to discuss is the heart. And the heart is whether or not we are loving. Remember the navel, we said loving yourself.
Yes.
This is loving others.
Loving others. And green.
And
Green.
the color is
Color
indeed green. And finally, as we get up to the throat, this is indicative of whether someone is speaking their truth. I did a demonstration years and years ago in an office building. They wanted me to come in and present the same type of work that we're discussing here. Mm-hmm. And as I'm doing so, this young man walks in, and he is just all stuffed up. He's coughing. He's a miserable mess.
Sure.
So I offered to read his energy centers, and it turned out his throat was closed. And so I offered to him, I said, is there someone you're not speaking your truth to, someone that means a lot to you, that you're just not speaking your truth to? He asked, can I be excused for a few moments? You see, these were all people from different offices in the same building.
Right.
He goes upstairs. Turns out he was working with his mother.
Can't say what we'd like to say to Mom all the time, can we?
So in about 20 minutes, I'm just finishing my presentation. He comes down, and he's all clear.
Nice.
How quick is that for a cure for the common cold, huh?
That's excellent. So he basically helped himself. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't.
Indeed. No
Yeah.
drugs, no pills. So,
Yep.
and of course, the throat is what color?
Light blue.
Sky
Light
blue, yes.
Sky blue.
And now we get up to the middle of the forehead. And this is indicative of whether or not we are seeing things clearly, or there's confusion in our life. It's easy to have happen, easily healed as well with meditation.
Sure.
Okay, and what color is that one?
That is indigo, or much darker, prettier blue.
Indeed, indeed it is. And finally, we get up to the crown, and if it's closed, which, by the way, especially in today's day and times, there's lots of fear in this world, is there not?
More than there should be.
There certainly is.
It's all a big facade that people are buying into, but there's a lot of it out there, yes.
And it's easy to do so. Again, I remind you to use the phrase, what was the phrase we quoted earlier? All events
are happening for us. Nothing is happening to us.
Okay, remember that. There's another thing you can do for your crown chakra or energy center if it's closed, and that's a gratitude exercise. Now, lots of people are doing different types of gratitude, but here's the way I recommend we do it. You get yourself a little journal, a little notebook that you can keep with you all day long. And within that, you make a personal commitment to yourself that you're going to enter a minimum of 10 entries a day that all begin with the phrase, I am grateful for,
Oh, that's great.
fill in the blank.
Great
Now,
idea.
no ditto marks.
All right,
No
no,
di-
I
no
am
ditto-
grateful for.
Yes.
I get it.
And it's amazing how grateful we can be. As you know, I ride a bike every day.
Sure.
Well, as I'm pedaling my bike and all of a sudden I go make a turn and I'm smack dab into the wind, and the wind is blowing me in the face pretty strong. Now, once upon a time, I might have thought, expletive deleted. I might have thought that, this was a little uncomfortable.
Sure.
I'm being polite. But instead, what is the thought that comes to me?
It's a natural life cycle, and God's just making a little more resistance for you to get more exercise.
And yes, that's exactly right. I am grateful for the wind because I'm getting an even better workout than I would have otherwise.
That's right.
And by the way, when I make the other turn, it'll be at my back.
That's good thinking ahead. I like that.
And so many other things. The other day, I was reaching into the refrigerator to pull out some different berries.
Sure.
And as I did, one of them toppled over, and all over the floor goes these strawberries. Now, once upon a time, again, expletive deleted. I might have thought not quite so fondly, but last year I dropped 60 pounds. Okay? And
Dropping strawberries?
and now, as I'm bending down to pick up each and every strawberry, I am grateful for how limber and in shape that I am. I'm grateful that these strawberries showed me that.
That's awesome. So look for the new Gary Strawberry Pickup Diet coming soon to a store near you.
Not quite, but indeed we have some fun. So do that exercise with the gratitude. And there's so much to be grateful for. We're grateful for our ability to think. We're grateful for that beautiful child that we pass in a stroller, and we form that loving eye connection, and you feel the love for I am grateful for the love of a child. You're in traffic and someone lets you in without getting into an accident. Next time you come to a light, you write down, I am grateful for the courtesy of that driver. And at the end of the day, you read your entries just before you retire. You'll have a pleasant night's sleep.
That's great.
You do this exercise for 3 weeks, 3 solid weeks. Be religious with it, be consistent with it, and I promise you, you will learn, you will earn an attitude of gratitude. And trust me, there's no finer way to live.
That's wonderful. I like it. I love it.
Cool.
I want more of it.